Meanwhile, the president of Ukraine, Zelenskyy, is in Washington today for meetings with President Biden, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, as well as to speak with senators in an all-senators meeting. Zelenskyy making his third trip to the United States since the start of Russia's invasion to make a plea for more aid to Ukraine. The funding is currently stalled in Congress, as you know, as lawmakers are debating stricter U.S. border policy. First, joining me right now is Fox News senior strategic analyst. He is the chairman of the Institute for the Study of War, General Keane, back with us. General, great to see you. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Yeah, delighted to be here, Maria.
So what are you expecting from Zelenskyy? Tell us how you think this plays out and what's most important for us to understand about this aid to Ukraine.
Yeah, well, first of all, there is bipartisan support, certainly in the Senate, for funding Ukraine, and also bipartisan support in the House, diminishing among Republicans. And as you pointed out in the introduction here, the real issue is the hemorrhaging that's taken place on our southern border and the concerns that Republicans have over that. They want to establish some measure of control at that border as a bargaining chip to provide funding for Ukraine, for Israel, and for Taiwan. So that is the principal issue. But what I would like to see here is something that I don't think we will see. But it would certainly help also in shoring up support for Ukraine. If the president stood next to Zelenskyy and told him what his objective is in supporting Ukraine, that he's going to be there to provide all the help that's necessary and get the help to him urgently as quickly as possible, air power, long-range missiles, to bring this conflict to a conclusion as quickly as possible and to help Zelenskyy drive the Russians off his territory. That kind of definitive objective we have never seen from the president. What he has said time and time again, I'm going to be there, we'll be there as long as it takes. And that gives a lot of congressmen and senators concern. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to be here forever? Don't we have a defined objective here? So that would be very helpful today, but Maria, it's unlikely we're going to see that. What we're really coming down to here is some kind of compromise between the Democrats and Republicans over the border and establishing some kind of control. And hopefully the sooner they get after that, the better.
Well, I don't understand what's so tough about just changing policy at the border. I mean, what's the big deal? Is this not a national security threat? Why not just make the changes that Republicans want and that basically most Americans want as well? We all understand what's going on at the border.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point. And, you know, I mean, I think most Americans look at it and it seems like common sense. Yeah. You're absolutely right. National security for the United States begins at our borders.
Right.
And we have a southern border that's open. From what and listen, I'm not into the politics as much as others, but I will say that from what I understand, the pressure on the Democrats has coming from their far left base because, Maria, they really want an open border.
Yeah,
that's the reality of what the tension is inside the halls of the Congress. Yeah. And hopefully, I don't think they're going to get it resolved this week. And you know, both houses are bailing out for the Christmas holidays. I think this is an issue that will likely get resolved in January.
Well, this is incredible. They're leaving on Thursday for the holidays. But I guess, you know, it leads me to the question, why? Why do they want an open border? I mean, it makes no sense to me. But I guess from your standpoint, is this a make or break right now for Ukraine? I mean, do they need the money from the United States that much in terms of a make or break? Haven't we given them $113 billion already? What do you think in terms of the importance of sending that money now?
Yeah, Ukraine is a little bit more of an issue than the other two countries because the money runs out at the end of December. So if that happens, that'll also influence the Europeans to a degree. And what we'll see is just gradually over time, Ukraine will begin to lose the war. And if Russia wins in Ukraine, I mean, you know how serious an issue that is in terms of what it eventually means for potential conflict with Russia in Europe, not to speak of incentivizing China and Iran. That really is the issue here. Yeah. It's bigger than Ukraine in terms of what's happening out there.
Absolutely. Understood. I want to get your take on all these attacks on our troops, General. This is very disturbing. The USS Mason responding after Iranian-backed Houthi rebels fired more cruise missiles at a ship in the Red Sea yesterday. No U.S. ships were nearby at the time, but Iranian proxy forces have now launched at least 92 attacks on U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria since October 17th. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reportedly told President Biden that Israel's military will act against the Houthis if the United States fails to do so. General, what do you think the answer is here after 92 attacks from Iran and Iran? I mean, you got to just say it. It's from Iran. OK, yeah, they are supporting these proxies, but Iran is in charge here. 92 attacks on our troops. What should the response be?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's obvious that whatever we have done to date has been completely insufficient. Yes, we're defending against the Iranian-backed Iraqi and Syrian proxies and the Houthi proxies as well when they're attacking us. We take defensive measures. And we've taken some limited offensive measures against these proxies. But obviously, it's not accomplishing the job. And look at this. The Arabs and our other allies in the region are watching this and saying, what is going on with the United States? They're not even taking appropriate action to protect their own forces, much less what would they do if we're attacked by Iran. So the question is humiliating and embarrassing for us, as far as I'm concerned. And the response is obvious. We have to take a stronger response. We have to accept the risk that by escalating, Maria, the people in the White House are concerned that would lead to a war with Iran. But the 43-year history of Iran dealing with proxies, because they don't want to be involved in a direct conflict with the United States, is clear. Let's escalate, gain dominance over Iran, shut them down in terms of what they're doing with these proxies. We have the means to do that. We have the target list to do that. The White House is unwilling to do it, much like Obama. White House was paralyzed by the fear of adverse consequence. And the adverse consequence here is if we escalate, well, we may go to war with Iran as a result of that escalation. Reagan figured that out, and so did Trump figured it out. They both escalated, and what did they achieve? They achieved dominance over Iran, and they shut them down. Yeah. That is the path that we must follow.
Well, you can't give in to a bully, right? When you have a bully and you just roll over for the bully, they keep on bullying. You've got the former chess champion and chairman of the Renewed Democracy Initiative, Garry Kasparov, out with a journal op-ed today. Victory seems not to be an option for Biden, he writes. The Afghan pullout set a precedent for weakness in Ukraine and the Middle East. Kasparov writes this: at every point of conflict in his presidency, Mr. Biden's modus operandi, like Mr. Obama's, has been to make concessions to create the illusion of diplomatic success. Mr. Biden appears intent on cutting yet another deal to make the problem of Ukraine go away for the moment. General, it's basically what you just said. This is Obama's foreign policy, but you could also place this on China as well, right? I mean, it's the same approach. China has all of this aggression, the surveillance balloon, the bullying of our ships and our flights in international airspace and sea, and we don't have any response. So it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, we have to see that all of this is connected. We didn't deter Russia from invading Ukraine. We've got war in the Middle East. Iran-backed proxies, Hamas wanting to weaken and destroy Israel, as Hezbollah supporting that, the Houthis supporting it, the proxies from Iraq and Syria attacking U.S. bases to drive us out of the region, all connected. President Xi, in the last 2 or 3 years, his aggression has increased 4- and 5-fold against the military intercepts in the region, against our allies in the region, pushing the Philippines and Vietnam around in the region. All of this aggression by these three countries has increased. And why is that? They believe the United States leadership is weak. They believe the United States is in decline. And most importantly, they believe the United States is vulnerable and there is an opportunity here. And all three of these countries are seizing the opportunity, and we have to see that that's connected. It's right there in front of us. This is a very dangerous period we're in, and we got to wake up to the reality of what has taken place in all three regions. These oppressors are on the move, attempting to take advantage of the United States.
It's very disturbing. It really is. And by the way, we still haven't seen any evidence of our militaries communicating. Wasn't that the big deliverable from the Xi-Joe Biden meeting, that the Chinese military and the U.S. military would start communicating again? I don't know. Have we seen that?
I don't know either. I was at a meeting in the Pentagon last week, and I think it's something that's coming in the future. Okay. But that pales by comparison to Xi's aggression in the region, and we have done nothing to stop and deter that aggression.
For sure, and that's very disturbing. General, always a pleasure to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, great talking to Maria.